So according to a survey we did on our Shop Talk Live Facebook group, about 31% of laser owners in that group have a Galvo laser of some sort, UV, fiber, or CO2. And I'm willing to bet that almost everybody who has one of those lasers uses the standard correction file that came from the manufacturer and they assume everything's perfect. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you that it's not. And I'm going to break down Galvo laser calibration into 3 basic steps, and I'll try and explain them as easily as possible so that anyone can understand, and at the end you'll have a much better calibrated laser. So let's get going. So welcome back. Now in this video I'm specifically going to talk about Galvo laser calibration. Now a Galvo is basically like a little micro stepper motor with a mirror on the end of it, and there's 2 of them inside a fiber laser or a UV laser or CO2 laser. And what they do is they allow the beam to steer around based on where these mirrors are pointed, and ultimately directs the beam down through a fairly big theta lens down to the material for doing engraving. Now there's a couple of things that can happen during that situation. The mirrors may move slightly too much or slightly not enough. The lens could cause some diffraction, distortion, so you can run into calibration problems. Now manufacturers solve this problem with a core file that they give you, and it takes the statistically average laser coming off the assembly line and it makes that one work pretty well. But the reality is not all lasers coming off the assembly line are exactly the same. We're talking about fractions of nanometers when we're talking about wavelength of light here. So there can be variations between what their correction file does and what your laser is actually doing. So in this video, I'm going to show you how we can replace that core file with some calibration. I'm going to show you 3 basic things you can do in less than a half an hour, and they will make sure that your laser is engraving exactly the way it should be. The scale of things that are being engraved is perfect. And when you're framing, the red dot and the laser itself are framing exactly right. So that's enough to get going, and we'll just jump right in here and talk about how to calibrate the lens. So I mentioned that manufacturers will almost always provide a correction file for you. It's a .cor file. It's probably going to be on a USB stick they shipped with the laser, or you can go to their website and download some software driver. And you would normally import that into Lightburn in the device settings, and if you pop that open, you can see the core file that's there. Now, as a result of this core file being there, you can't actually change very much in this settings window. So what I'm going to do is remove that core file, because that will allow us to then go in and do lens correction and scale correction, a bunch of other things that you couldn't normally do if the core file was there. So that allows us to go to the Laser Tools menu in Lightburn, and we'll select the lens calibration. Now this is just a wizard. We're not actually doing any calibration here yet, but we're setting up to do an engrave of a test pattern, and you can just leave the defaults for the most part, and I'll frame it. Now everything's turned off, all the calibration, so the framing is going to look a little strange. You'll see the corners are kind of vignetted, but we'll engrave the pattern that they use for testing, and it's really just a crosshair in a square, but you can see the lines are not straight, and that's because we need to calibrate the laser to get the skew and trapezoid and offset, a bunch of other things set up. So I'll hit next in the wizard here, and it takes me to an orientation page. So it draws the Lightburn logo on the thing we engraved, and it just wants you to know which way to put it. After that, it's a case of getting out your vernier caliper and doing lots of measuring according to their lines there. And we're doing the horizontal lines first, and I'll measure them all, then I'll go in and fill them in on the page for the horizontal measurements, and I'll just do them quickly there, and then I'll flip the thing sideways here and I'll do the vertical ones, the vertical lines. And what this is doing is measuring basically how out of whack those squares on the page are. So again, I'll just enter the values. I'm not going to talk about what they are. I'm just measuring. So if you have a set of vernier calipers, you can do this. It's pretty simple, and when you're done, you get a summary of all the things that you changed. And if you go back into the device settings, you'll notice that those settings have all been put into your Lightburn configuration. So basically, you don't need that core file anymore. Everything is pretty much exactly the way it was with the core file, except it's now tuned to your specific lens. Now, just for a quick before and after, this is what a framed square looks like without correction. You can see it's bulged out on the sides and concave in on the top and bottom. And when we apply those corrections that we ran through the wizard, you can see the square is now framed perfectly. It's parallel on top and bottom and side to side. Now, that leads us to the next problem, which is scale. We don't know if that square is the size it's supposed to be, so that's what we're going to do next. So we now know that the lens is properly corrected. Lightburn is now compensating for any distortion in that lens or any diffraction that might be happening as the beam gets out close to the edges of the lens. It just takes care of all of that. What we don't know is that the square that we just framed out there or engraved, is it actually the size it's supposed to be? And that's a scale problem. And the way we're going to look at that is we're just first going to draw a square in Lightburn, and we're going to engrave it on a piece of paper. We'll just arbitrarily say it's 100 by 100 millimeters. It can be any size you want. It doesn't really matter. But we'll lay it down. We'll do an engrave, and that's real time. So it's pretty quick. And then we'll come back and we'll measure it with calipers. Now, it's supposed to be 100 by 100. If we measure here, you'll see it's about 99 and a half. It's close on the horizontal, but on the vertical side, when we measure it, you'll see that it's quite a bit smaller than it's supposed to be. It's around 97, almost 98, but that's not 100 if we're looking for accuracy. So the way we fix this now is we go back into Lightburn and we go to device settings, and you'll see these little buttons beside the Galvo controls. And the top one in this case is for the y-axis, the bottom one is for the x. So what you do is you say you enter the values you measured. So I'm looking for 100 millimeters, but I actually got 99.46. And same thing on the vertical axis, we put the number in that we measured. And Lightburn will do a calculation. So anytime you say draw a line of 100 millimeters, it may draw it a little longer or a little shorter than it thinks to get to that proper measurement. And you can see when I do another measurement here, it comes out. I did it a couple times here, as you can see. But now we have a square that's 100 by 100. So it's perfect. And that's all we really need to do with scale. It's pretty simple. And now we'll jump on to the next step, which is now aligning the framing laser, the LED red laser, with the actual laser coming through the glass. So if you haven't already figured out that your typical Galvo laser is much more complex than the average diode laser, well, this will seal the deal, because when you're framing a Galvo laser, typically manufacturers will supply a second LED, red LED diode to do the framing, and that can come in a number of configurations. There can be up to 3 diode lasers. They use 2 for focus to converge, and that's when you know you're in focus. And sometimes there's a third one that actually goes through the optical path, through the lens, and takes the same path as the beam. Well, that's important. You want to make sure that any framing that happens actually happens in the place where the engraving is going to be. So sometimes you'll see it, and I'll force my laser out of alignment here to show you in a bit. But what I'm going to do is I'll go into Lightburn and I'll just draw a very simple, just a square with a cross through the middle of it. And I'll center it on the workspace, at least where Lightburn thinks the workspace is supposed to be. And I'll shoot that over to the laser here. You'll see the framing there, and then blammo, it'll get engraved. And now what this tells us is 2 things. Is the red dot that normally sits in the center actually in the center? And also, is the framing on the outside, does it overlap where the engraving actually happened? So we're going to measure some of those things. Now, I did manage to catch my laser in a single frame here, and you can see that my red dot is slightly low and slightly to the left. So I should actually do this calibration. It's about 1/4 of a millimeter in each direction. It's not critical, but I'll probably fix it anyway. Now, if you want to know how to fix this, you guessed it, we're going back into device settings and we're working in this upper right corner. There's 3 rows there. There's an XY offset, which is for framing. There's a scale XY, which is also for framing. And then there's the rest position, which is just the red dot by itself when you're not framing. And you want to be able to change all of these things. So mine was actually pretty good, my laser out of the box. So I'm going to force some error here just so you can see what it looks like if it's not in the right place. And I'll force a little bit here. I'll move the red dot out of the way, and you can see it's now up above the actual cross a bit. And when I frame, you can see that where they're framing the square and where the square actually got engraved is quite different. So you can go fix that in these three things. If the scale is maybe a little small, you can fix that here as well. And I mentioned the challenge coin. Why this is important is when you lay down a challenge coin like this, you know that when the circle is framed and it's lined up properly with the coin, this thing is going to end up exactly where it's supposed to be. So that's why all of this is important. Now, before I wind down, just a couple of tips. First of all, if you got something out of this video, hit that thumbs up button down below. Also, if you watch videos regularly, subscribe. It really helps out the analytics on the channel. Now, I purposely didn't talk about focus in this video, and that's because manufacturers tend to document that fairly well. So you can read the documentation and learn how to adjust the red dots for focusing and how to focus in general. If you really can't figure it out, leave a comment down below. I read all the comments. I try to respond to as many as I possibly can, and I'll get to yours. And the second thing is, I didn't want to imply at all that once you kind of go down this calibration path, you can't get back. At any point in time, you can go back and you can reload the core file from the manufacturer and get back to where the manufacturer thinks your laser should be. But I find that manually calibrating, it takes a little bit of time, but once you get it, you get a much better performing laser. Now, if you are interested in Galvo lasers, then I'll put a video up in the corner here. Go watch that. And hopefully I'll see you over there. And otherwise I'll wind down here and I'll say get out there and make your world. And I'll see you next time.